we are recording lesson 190 with Olivia from Australia. Yeah.
Yes, great to be here.
Okay, so it's recording. All righty. You want to stay on with us, Joni?
I
Sure.
would love that. Thank
Okay,
you.
sure. Why not? Why the
Oh,
hell
wonderful.
not? We're already gathering a crew. So I'll kick it off and I'll pass it to you. Lesson 190. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. That's yes. I'll say yes to that. Pain
Mhm.
is wrong perception. When it is experienced in any form, it is a proof of self deception. It's not a fact at all. There's no form it takes that will not disappear if seen aright. For fear proclaims God cruel. How could it be real in any form? It's witness to God the Father's hatred of his Son, the sinfulness he sees in him, and his insane desire for revenge and death. It really is funny, isn't it? Like to think like I mean, first of all, I think like when I gave birth, I was in pain, and
Mhm.
then I went to a practitioner and I saw this woman giving birth and she wasn't in pain. I was like, "What's this broad doing?" And she's like, she's giving birth right now. She's like 7 meters dilated, and I'm like, "No, she's not." She's like, "Yes, she is." I'm like, "No, she's not." And this woman taught me how to relax to the point where I could have a laborless birth. I mean, if more people knew about this, they would know that it was a choice. I know that sounds insane, but I actually
Mhm.
experienced it. So that's what I take from the first paragraph. is that is that as insane as it sounds, it's actually true.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine people reading this and perhaps being triggered because they're experiencing pain and it's real. It's a real feeling. I think it's he doesn't pull any punches, and it's important to realize, I guess, the whole concept of the reality with a little r, the reality with a big R, and our thoughts. And I can imagine it'd be very frustrating if you're someone who's going through a lot of pain and you hear this and you're like, I'm really trying to have all the right thoughts.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know that it's about our thoughts.
yeah.
I think it's about like because I also have had the experience where I suffered from migraines. And I was like, okay, I don't know how to heal these migraines and everything I'm using is not working. So I'm just going to experience my migraine. And I'm
Mhm.
just going to experience exactly what it feels like. And I laid down in bed and I experienced and I was just like, okay, where is it located? What does it feel like? And I just became like a scientist inside my own body. Next thing I know, I fell asleep. Next thing I know, I wake up. Next thing I know, I haven't had a migraine since.
Wow.
I know it was like I was just willing to be with it. And I'm just
Yes.
wondering, in the same way that I was just willing to be with those perceived labor pains, that I could get past them. And again, I totally agree with you, Olivia. There are people who are experience major pain, but according to this book, they don't have to.
Hmm.
And I think that's really trippy and that we can fight for our limitations. Like you don't understand,
Yes.
I'm in a lot of pain, so don't even question this, or else you're gonna make me feel even worse. I don't know. But I don't. This is not poetry. This is they're saying it's principle.
Hmm.
So, any thoughts on that?
I think that's what we aim for, and we
Yeah.
can get there. And I think we fight. I do think we have a lot of resistance to things at times, whether it be our ego, whether it be the pain we're experiencing, the things
Yeah.
that we want to attract to our lives, and
Yeah.
we we do fight things. And I do agree that just letting them happen and experiencing them, I think using toddlers and babies as role models for that is really. I've got a 2 year old in my 2 year old daughter, and I watch her, and she falls and she hits her head and she cries and she howls, and then she's over it. Or that she's in the joy of the moment in a way that we forget to be. And I think that's what I aim for. And I
Yeah.
think Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
key.
I love that. I mean, I definitely know this is not something that we should use to harm ourselves if this is not your experience, because we get to have compassion with it. So,
I think we can admit where we're at, and
mhm.
if we're not nailing that, and you need to, you need to see a doctor and get some help and have some pain relief and whatever you need to do. If you're
Oh,
not,
yeah.
if you know, it's not to say that you're failing if you need assistance, and I think that could be a dangerous takeaway. But I don't think that's what's meant by this. I
No, I
think
don't
it's
either.
just, yeah,
Yeah, I had
and I wouldn't want anyone to interpret it that way.
no,
Yeah.
I had a pain in my tooth the other day, and I normally I would be like, "Oh, whatever, it doesn't really matter." And I'm sure a lot of people deal with their body that way. Like it has like pains or blips or blops, and it's like I just don't want to take care of my body. Like I know for me it's almost like not denial, but almost laziness. And so I went to the doctor, the dentist, and he just removed some tartar from the back of my tooth, and it's like so much better. It's like done. I was like, man, I'm so glad I didn't like. So even in that, I think those actions of going to the doctor, getting the pill, getting the procedure, whatever you need, that's a form of love, self-love, and I think it's commendable and necessary. There's no reason to suffer. So that's it.
Exactly.
You want to read the next one?
Oh, where are my glasses?
And Joni, why don't you take the third paragraph?
Yes. What lesson again is it, please?
We're on 190.
Okay, so we're up to 2, is it?
Yep.
Can such projections be attested to? Can they be anything but wholly false? Pain is but witness to the son's mistakes in what he thinks he is. It is a dream of fierce retaliation for a crime that could not be committed, for attack on what is wholly unassailable. It is a nightmare of abandonment by an eternal love which could not leave the son whom it created out of love.
I mean, he's saying the same thing. You know what I mean? Really felt on that?
I often think I read a book many years ago. I think it might have been 2006, 2007, and at the time I didn't know that I would spend every year since going back and quoting it and referring to it. But I read Anita Murjani's book, "Dying to Be Me."
Yes, love it.
And I think what she went through with her experience of, she describes her childhood of trying to fit in, of being bullied, of trying to be the good girl and behave how women are supposed to behave, and then having friends who had cancer and being scared of that, and trying really hard to be spiritual and trying really hard to do all the positive healthy things to not get cancer, and then she did get cancer, and she was on death's door and actually crossed over, and then realized, she saw her father, and who told her, now that you know who you really are, go back and live fearlessly. And that, to me, it's a point of reference for me to understand this better, because she just knew that she would be better, because she understood all those things through her childhood and not being authentically herself, is why she had cancer. And now she understood that she was a piece of God, as we all are, that we are all one. The whole separation and the attack that we do on each other and ourselves, that's an illusion. And she got it, and she came back and she healed miraculously. And that, to me, is what this is about.
Yeah, I love that, and I love her story. Yeah, that's awesome. You want to read the next one, Joni?
Paragraph 3. Pain is a sign illusions reign in place of truth. It demonstrates God. It is denied, confused with fear, perceived as mad, and seen as traitor to himself. If God is real, there's no pain. If pain is real, there's no God. For vengeance is not part of love, and fear, denying love and using pain to prove that God is dead, has shown that death is victor over life. The body is the Son of God, corruptible in death, as mortal as the Father, he is slain.
Yeah.
That's pretty graphic.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. It goes on to say, peace to such foolishness. I love that line. Peace to such foolishness. The time has come to laugh at such insane ideas. There is no need to think of them as savage crimes or secret sins or weighty consequences. Who but a madman could conceive of them as cause of anything? Their witness, pain, is mad as they, and no more to be feared than the insane illusion which it shields and tries to demonstrate must be true. So again, like pain is part of the illusion, and it just like all of the other aspects of this virtual reality, it can seem the stimuli can seem very convincing, but it's saying to us you don't have to experience that, and to tell a mind that it doesn't have to experience that which it has been in allegiance to is a very uncomfortable thing to grasp. And so uh, like even with laborless births, like that that for most people want to argue, no, this is not possible. And I can only say it's possible because I experienced it, and I only experienced it because I really thought this third birth was going to kill me because I had so much pain that I went to a practitioner. I was like, I need to figure this out because I'm afraid I'm going to die. Like I would have such hard. I had home birth, so that was part of the problem. Like I was doing it without painkillers, so that was part of the problem. But I was doing it without painkillers, without actually healing my mind of the addiction to it wanting to experience pain. And so what she had me do, she basically taught me how to meditate. Like, and I didn't really have a practice before that. And she brought me through this practice, this guided meditation, and she led me to it time and time and time again. So that by the time my labor pains came, I learned how to like get really still. And I was as shocked as anybody that I could actually do that. Now here's the thing, that was my third birth. My fourth birth, I didn't practice the way she told me, and I had some labor pains that time. Got a little cocky, and I was like, I got this. So, but when they say be still and know God, you go there for wisdom, you go there for clarity, and you can also go there for being lifted above the stimuli of the world. It's possible. You see gurus take acid and don't get high because they've allowed themselves to go beyond the stimuli of the world. And that's not just a magic trick for gurus, that's available to you and me. That's what I think.
Well, what is a guru anyway? They're just the same as us, really. We
Mm-hmm.
surely.
Mm-hmm.
Was it that training that helped you with the migraine?
Well, I think it may have had something to do with that. I had read so many metaphysical books that were just like that were inviting me, like Louise Hay book, You Can Heal Your Life, to just be with it, to question it, to ask it what the purpose is. And so I just decided to get curious with it as opposed to try and kill it.
Hmm.
And that's my experience. Yeah.
I guess we need to be reminded sometimes to send everything love instead of
Yeah.
a whole lot of resistance.
And just in being still and being curious about it, let me get to that place where I was able to say, like, what's the meaning I've given this almost? And I really can't tell you exactly what the thoughts were, but I know the intention was just be curious with it, just go into it, don't try and avoid it, go into it. And I really, aside from reading, metaphysical books, I hadn't been licensed as a practitioner at that time. I really was, it was an early stage of my life, but I couldn't stand having migraines anymore. So I was like,
Hmm.
I have to try something different. And when I did, it worked. And so I would suggest anybody who is experiencing pain to really get still with it and just see get curious with it and see if you can locate it in your body. Worst case scenario, you're just going to have sensations, right? Worst case scenario. So
Hmm.
maybe it's the fear and resistance that we have around the pain that actually leads to more experiences of pain. They say what you resist persists. So that might make sense. And we have $1 billion business based on painkillers. So, and again, I'm just inviting you to get curious around it. Yeah. So, what are we on? 5?
I have
5.
one. I have
Mm-hmm.
one quick.
Okay.
I have many pain ones, but I have one quick one that's kind of funny. And what you just said really triggered it. Was I was having a colonization and some tests, and they had a new young anesthesiologist. And once they started the procedure, I knew that something was terribly wrong. And they knew it by the numbers of the blood pressure and everything going up. And they looked at me and they said, "Can you feel it?" And I still didn't answer. And I started to breathe through it like labor pains. I just had no choice. And I heard the doctor say, "She's got no anesthesia. I'll give her laughing gas." When I and I just breathed through it. And when I came out of the surgery, there was the doc running across with a shot to give me a shot. And he said up to the nurse, he goes, "She had no anesthesia through anesthesia. The guy missed my spine, and I never had the anesthesia. I went through the procedure without anything, but I sunk into it, Maureen. When you said that, I remember it was like an out of body, could have been maybe out of body, but I went in and I just stayed there because I knew I wasn't going to be hurt. I mean, killed or anything, but I went in and they they saw it on the numbers. They brought the medicine to me, but I heard him say, "She just went through that with no anesthesiology."
Wow,
So I
Joni.
do know you
Wow.
can go in. And I was hearing
Okay.
you say that with I'm wondering if I can apply it to other classrooms. That's what I'm also hearing.
Yes, you
But I was,
can. You can apply
I'm
to other.
hearing you say that. And I didn't make a big deal of it because I lived through it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm hearing now with the backdrop of this lesson is what you're saying about your migraine is I only had a choice to go within. I was totally by myself. I didn't know what the problem was. I
Yeah.
couldn't fix it, but I
Well,
went within and I just kind of rode the tsunami of what it was. And don't get me wrong, it didn't last very long. I mean, it was like a 10-minute procedure.
well, here's the thing. I mean,
Hmm.
you see people like Tony Robbins walking people across coals. I mean, everything here is a placebo.
Hmm.
Everything. So it's like it's the meaning that we've given it. It's the power that we've given it. And
Well,
so this lesson is asking us like, would you be willing to like question that?
and the other, not just physical pain. I'm wondering as you speak in the other
Mm-hmm.
classrooms, it's anything that our mind is determining suffering and pain. Can I just
Hmm.
be with it instead of, I mean, I was, in my classroom sometimes is money. So it's like, can I just be with it? Like with this experience. I mean, if you could heal your mind, what you're really saying is by being present and being with it, you conquer that fear that wants to block you from going with the flow of being present.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that, Joni. I'm agreeing with it. That's what the book is saying. It's saying your thoughts
Sorry.
alone. It's your thoughts alone that cause you pain. Your thoughts alone that cause you pain. That's what it says. Your thoughts alone. And it says it throughout and throughout, throughout. It says only your own thoughts can harm you. And I have put my money on that. And it's actually true. And I love that you're bringing in the idea of like, what about emotional pain?
Hmm.
What about financial pain? So yes, yes to all of those things. But
Yeah,
again, like, you get to try.
and because of that one experience, I don't think I've ever experienced pain the same way. I've been told that,
Hmm.
I just have a higher level of tolerance because my mind has been experienced that it is an illusion.
Yeah.
I can be with it and I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, let's keep reading because I do have a house full of people.
Sorry.
No, it's really good stuff. I think it's great that you have examples. If you don't have examples for these things, you got nothing but like symbols clashing. You have to have applicable examples in order
Yeah.
for us to understand that this actually it's not poetry, it's principle. So
Hmm.
I appreciate your sharing your experience. I'll pass.
We'll be up to number 5.
Yep.
Yes.
I'll go then. It is your thoughts alone that cause you pain. Nothing external to your mind can hurt or injure you in any way. There is no cause beyond yourself that can reach down and bring oppression. No one but yourself affects you. There is nothing in the world that has the power to make you ill or sad or weak or frail. But it is you who have the power to dominate all things you see by merely recognizing what you are. As you perceive the harmlessness in them, they will accept your holy will as theirs. And what was seen as fearful now becomes a source of innocence and holiness.
There you go.
Yeah. And you know, Jesus is hanging on the cross saying, like, forgive them. They know not what they do. They literally think they're causing me pain. You know what I mean? But this is impossible for a son of God. Like, you can kill me, but you actually can't kill me, even. Like, all of this is just sort of a mad farce that you've believed in. I mean, I know it's radical, but.
It's like we're all in a play, but we're rather attached to it. And the idea of an ending is a bit can be scary. But yes, it's only a play.
Yeah, it's only a play, and the truth is, what's real never ends. The real aspects of it never end. So, and again, like I know these concepts, I think, are like sort of trippy and hard to actually conceive, but you know, but we just get to be with them.
And I felt the love in that surgery theater, and those people that were there. I had been in the hospital 3 months, so there was that extra connection. But it is what you're saying is the reality wasn't the physical; it was the care. It was the in the moment, loving, doing the best, calling in all their powers, and when you align with that, and as God as our connection, it is powerful. And thanks for helping clarify that for me.
Yeah, and when you align with the idea that God is love and is not invested in suffering you, like
Absolutely.
when you like play with that idea a little bit, see where it takes you. Well, you're on number 6, Joni.
Yep.
Or
My holy brother, think of this a while. The world you see does nothing. It has no effects at all. It merely represents your thoughts, and it will change entirely as you elect to change your mind and choose the joy of God as what you really want. Your self, capital S, is radiant in this holy joy, unchanged, unchanging, unchangeable, forever and forever. And would you deny a little corner of your mind its own inheritance and keep it as a hospital for pain, a sickly place where living things must come at last to die?
yeah, interesting, right?
Mm.
Anybody want any thoughts about that?
It does. I mean, I just do think that it makes sense that our mind is so powerful, and we have this running conversation with ourselves all the time. That's why the beginning part of A Course in Miracles is really interesting, because it gets you to be aware of that. You know, this book is not, I can't remember what it is, but you know, the ones where everything you look at is not what you think it is. That we project. We project all our meaning onto everything, and we do that all the time. So even for myself, I am no master, but at least I understand that concept and take responsibility for the projections in my mind. So I can wrap my head around the emotional stuff, because I think I'm doing that to myself all the time. You know, whenever I worry about anything, I know it's just wrong thinking. And the pain kind of makes sense to me too. But as someone who's not experiencing chronic pain, and I imagine someone listening out there, I know someone who experiences chronic pain and is always, you know, frustrated, can't always get the medication they need, have to jump through hoops and all of this sort of stuff. I sometimes think, oh gosh, this might really trigger them, and I want to feel compassion to anyone experiencing any sort of pain, emotional or physical. But I think this is the ultimate thing to aim for, really, mastery and understanding these principles.
Yeah, and here's the thing. These principles are not to encourage people to feel threatened by them, but maybe inspired by them, maybe curious around it. They're not to punish anybody,
No.
but to polish the possibility that you might want to use your mind to heal. You might want to at least try that, at least be curious around it. Um, because here's the thing, according to the Course, uh, all gifts that are given to one Son of God are given to all sons of God. So
Mhm.
it's not like there's some special handshake. You know, Jesus said, "This and greater things will you do." So,
if it could end up opening the door to a possibility of
yeah, yeah,
another
and all you
way to
need,
be.
yeah, and all you need is a little willingness to just
Mm.
try it. Like, don't knock it till you try it. Contempt prior to investigation is negligence, according to the 12-step program, which I love that phrase. But just try it. You know what I mean? And see what happens. And that's what I'd say about that. Yeah, and I get it, and I love your compassion around people who are in chronic pain, um, because we do not want to use this philosophy to harm anyone. So, number 7, the world may seem to cause you pain, and yet the world, as causeless, has no power to cause. As an effect, it can only make effects. As an illusion, it is what you wish. Your idle wishes represent its pain. Your strange desires bring its evil dreams. Your thoughts of death envelop it in fear, while in your kind forgiveness does it live. So, in regards to these experiences of pain, mentally, physically, emotionally, um, what it's saying here is like your unforgiveness or your forgiveness can maybe shift the dial a little towards freedom. Again, we've heard that a lot from many teachers and gurus. Like, forgiveness is the answer to everything. Like, when we're not in forgiveness, we're in mental distress. When we're not in forgiveness, we're not here. When we're not in forgiveness, we're owned by something, and
Mm.
we've gone unconscious. So, and so that's all. I mean, I just think it's an interesting concept. Oh, you have a chair?
8. 8. Pain is the thought of evil taking form and working havoc on your holy mind. Pain is the ransom you have gladly paid not to be free. Hmm. In pain is God denied and the Son he loves. In pain does fear appear to triumph over love, and time replace eternity and heaven. And the world becomes a cruel and bitter place where sorrow rules and little joys give way before the onslaught of the savage pain that waits to end all joy in misery.
Sounds like a horror movie, Joni. Thanks
I love
for
that. I love
dramatic
reading this.
reading.
It is a horror movie. What are you talking
It is.
Mhm.
It's funny. Someone that I know that is in chronic pain, but I do know that she also takes on all the pain of the world. She looks at every injustice and how horrible people can be. And I do wonder whether that's got something to do with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pain at looking at the injustice and that is inflicted on people.
Yep.
So there may be a connection.
Yeah. I'll say yes because you're your friend. You don't have to say yes, but I'll say yes. If you are in this this fractured mindset of villain, victim, hero, there's good people, there's bad people, there's people who are trying to be helpful, but they're flying over you in a cape so that you know that they're not just everyday people, they're special people. When we start to take on these special positions of villain, victim, and hero, we get out of alignment of of uh, equality and unity, and we get into these hierarchies. And in the hierarchy, we're if you're a victim, you're going to play the villain also, and you're also going to play the hero, and you're just going to vacillate between all three of these roles, and it's a fractured experience. And in that experience, whether you're the villain who's like inflicting pain because he's probably in pain, or the victim who's experienced pain but also in pain, Or the hero is the one who's like your friend, who's like, all of these injustice, I have to do something. They're also in pain. They're working from a place of pain. And so it's almost like a fractured triangle of like the Bermuda Triangle. It's like this is where pain lives, is to look at our fractured nature as opposed to our holy nature. And what would happen if she just decided to say, everything that seems to be like a shitstorm, I'm just going to say today that it's going to bless people. I don't know how it's going to bless people, but according to this Course in Miracles, it says a happy outcome is guaranteed. So I'm just going to see, like, what would it be like if I truly believe that this would bless me? You and I have been through 1,000 classrooms that seem to cut us at the knees, right? Maybe we've been raped, maybe we've been divorced, maybe we've had these experiences. When we allow them to define us, they limit us. When we allow them to ordain us, they empower us. And that's the difference between living in a fractured perspective to living in a holy perspective. So, but again, like, you don't want to force anybody into that way of being. You want to be, maybe you want to, I want to embody that so I might be an example of it. But other than that, what you decide to do is yours to do.
People come to this when they're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9. Lay down your arms and come without defense into the quiet place where heaven's peace holds all things still at last. Lay down all thoughts of danger and of fear. Let no attack enter with you. Lay down the cruel sword of judgment that you hold against your throat, and put aside the withering assaults with which you seek to hide your holiness. Oh, that's beautiful. And that's the same.
Yeah, and it's basically, it's saying the only problem is me. I'm the only one who can block me from experiencing my radiance. It's me. Which is like, it's like, the ego's like, F you. It's not me. It's everybody else but me. Don't put this on me. But if I don't take 100% responsibility for it, I will never heal it. I'm the only one who can cause me pain. So
there's Dove Fishman shared a meme that said something along this lines, that healing happens when you are triggered or hurting or whatever's happening on the outside form, and you're able to take full responsibility to move through that pain, the pattern, and the story, and walk your way to the different ending.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Maybe Holy Spirit's version of the ending instead of ego's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's Oprah that says forgiveness is letting go that the past or the pain should be any different. So if we forgive that, then we can, and we sit with the stillness of it, then we will be inspired, or we'll get the understanding that that we're taking full responsibility, and we can break that pattern. I'm gonna apply this to situations. So thank you. This is really great.
Forgiveness is it. Yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yes, I should go to these classes.
Joni records every single one of our morning calls, so she's on all of them. So here will you understand there is no pain. Here does the joy of God belong to you. This is the day when it is given you to realize the lesson that contains all of salvation's power. It is this: pain is illusion, joy is reality. Pain is but sleep, joy is awakening. Pain is deception, joy alone is truth. Yeah, I know, right? It's like, what? Have I been dabbling in the low end of the consciousness pool? But it makes sense, I mean, if God is all that is good and beautiful and holy, why would it suffer us? I wouldn't suffer my kid. You wouldn't suffer your 2-year-old.
Well, I feel like my daughter lived this morning. She went to sit on her chair, fell, hit her head, cried, let it go, had a cuddle, she's better. And then so there's the pain, but that's not the norm, right? It moved through her and she got over it. And then as we're getting everyone to go into the car for the school drop off, and she just suddenly decides to run around the front yard and just be ecstatically happy, just running around and spinning in circles. And that is joy and that is truth. And she's tapped into that. And to me,
Yeah.
that's what this is talking about.
It's beautiful. That's gorgeous.
And pain can just be a messenger or just a signal to go within.
Yeah.
You know,
There's that acronym PAIN. Pay attention inward now.
Oh, no, that's true.
So, love that. You want
11.
Yeah.
And so again, we make the only choice that ever can be made. We choose between illusions and the truth, or pain and joy, or hell and heaven. Let our gratitude unto our teacher fill our hearts as we are free to choose our joy instead of pain, our holiness in place of sin, and the peace of God instead of conflict, and the light of heaven for the darkness of the world. There you go. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Finishing on a high, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it really is. And you know, Joni, Olivia and I met through Instagram, and I thought before we close out, Olivia, this was great. I'm glad that we did this. We'll see what else comes up for us. But can you just tell us a little bit about what you do and what you want people to know about you?
Oh my goodness. Is that always the
I know.
Tricky?
I know. It's
What
like
do
saying,
I do?
It's like saying, can you just speak Japanese now?
What do I do? Where do I start? I do podcasting as a service, podcast editing, producing, help people make their podcasts successful. I've always loved stories, storytelling, and that kind of thing. And apart from that, I sing, singer-songwriter. I do music for children. I haven't done it for a little while. I'm a little bit frustrated that this year I've been concentrating so much with the podcasting that the music's got left behind, which is not right. I need to get back into that because, there's something there that I need to do with music. So I need to find how to get back on track with that. So I've written songs for children, and they all generally have a message of self-love one way or another, even if it's not overtly obvious. So that's Livy Kids Music. And then I got into writing songs for adults, and they tend to be rather inspired, I guess, because that's what I'm into, spirituality and so forth, that that I started. And I always loved singing. I just wanted to be a singer. I just wanted to sing all the big diva songs like, you know, Whitney Houston and all those big divas. And I wasn't interested in songwriting, and I found out that I can do it to the point that I make people cry and stuff. So I'm like, now I wonder what God wants me to do with this, which I'm still not sure. But
well, we can figure out what God wants you to do. You can come to Speakeasy and sing at Speakeasy sometime. Next time we do a recording, you're going to open us up with a song, and I'll come
okay.
Okay? That's a deal.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, this was awesome. Let's do it again. I'll connect you through WhatsApp, and we'll talk again. Thanks
Wonderful.
so much, guys.
Thank you for inviting me, and Joni, lovely to meet you too today.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.